With me at Skyview Sports, as we are at our motorsports desk, we have Bob Francis from Go Full Throttle. Bob, we met a few weeks back over in Las Vegas, and you've been covering NASCAR and other motorsports for a long time.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, Roy. My history goes back to the 80s. Like a lot of smart fathers with teenage boys, my gang, my posse, one of our dads bought a late model dirt track car, and instead of us getting out and getting in trouble, we were learning racing, and we spent weeknights rebuilding engines and preparing the car. This was in Northern California, and we went racing at Watsonville Oceanside Speedway every Friday night, and Santa Clara County Fairgrounds, San Jose Speedway on Saturday nights on the dirt track, sharing with the sprint cars. And so that was when NASCAR got hooked with me, and I've been a fan, and I wrote a column in Northern California called Dirt on the NorCal dirt scene, and have been part of NASCAR ever since.
And it's funny. About a month ago, 6 weeks ago, when NASCAR went to Atlanta, there was a first time shooter and says, "Man, I hate the smoke and the noise and all that." And I'm like, "You kidding? That's why we're all here. We
That's
love
right.
this. We love. I love the smell of gasoline in the morning." So, anyway, with that, well, let's take a look back at Las Vegas. A race won by Josh Berry, and that was a pretty much a surprise thing. What is your take on all that?
Yeah, that was not on our prediction model. Did not have Josh Berry even in the top 10 of possibilities. It was definitely a remote long shot. However, if we keep in mind, that Berry and the Wood brothers are part of the Penske operation, and we know how well Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano have been at Las Vegas. So I think there are some dots to connect there in terms of capabilities of the Penske organization and data they're sharing with Wood Brothers. So while we've seen Josh competitive all this season, he's been running up front, which was great to
Yeah.
see. It was a surprise to see him pull off the win when we know how great Bell is there, how great Larson is there, how great Logano is there.
Yeah, and with that, I do agree. I think you hit on something very strong, Bob. And if Penske was not doing the data sharing with the Wood brothers, I think that I don't think we'd be hearing a whole lot from that team. You agree?
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. It's been a great collaboration, and it certainly made that team competitive. Um, and Josh Berry, we know he's got the stripes. We know that Dale Jr. would not have invested in him and brought him up through the ranks, even to see him go to a different manufacturer, if he didn't see incredible talent there. And now the equipment is matching the talent, and we're seeing results.
Just wondering, this is a thought that just came up, Bob. Do you think that NASCAR capping the number of drivers they can have on a team now that teams have the incentive to maybe help out with some kind of financial incentive? Some of the teams that, they might have wanted to sign to Josh Berry. They can't now, but now they can kind of help out in another way, and it helps the sport.
Yeah, I like the current process. I think that we've seen this collaboration system working really well to help some teams like Spire, and how Josh himself, while driving for Dale Jr., stepped in to Hendrick Motorsports and drove the 9 car when Chase Elliott had that snowboarding incident. As a matter of fact, that happened at Las Vegas. We were sitting in the media center in Las Vegas when the whole Hendrick crew rolled in with Josh Berry wearing the 9 Napa Motorsports fire suit, and we're like,
That must
oh,
have been freaky.
yeah. And but that was part of that collaboration system that is in place working. It's working well for the Wood brothers and the Ford camp. We know the tight collaboration between Junior Motorsports and many of the Chevrolet teams. And you look at a Noah Gragson, you look at a Josh Berry, you see that development path and that substitute driver when there's an emergency. Alex Bowman gets hurt in the 48. And again, we see a Justin Allgaier out of the Junior Motorsports camp coming in to fill in a Hendrick Cup seat. I think the process is working.
All right. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what happened at Homestead, Miami, and Kyle Larson earning a win. We're going to do that on the flip side.
How you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason. Thank you.
A place to make my own, a place that I call home, this place that I call home.
Kyle Larson, he's been a bridesmaid many times at Homestead, Miami, and he was waiting in the weeds. He outfoxed both Bubba Wallace, and also he got Alex Bowman as well. What was your take on the race?
Well, it was a great points day for us. Our prediction model had Larson as one of the potential winners in the top five, and we've seen his history at this track. But you're right in that in the past there has always been an incident, a tire, or he's hit the wall one too many times. So I think looking at Friday night, how he dominated the truck race, how he also dominated the Xfinity race, but the late restart and getting jacked up in the back and losing traction cost him the win, but he still dominated that race.
Yeah.
All those laps, I think, really paid off, Roy, in that when it came down to crunch time there at the end of the race, Larson put all of that history together, including Friday and Saturday, on how to manage tires, run that wall, and then get it to victory lane.
After the race, Kyle Larson told the press what the key was to his victory. It wasn't perfect, but he got it done.
Yeah, it's very impressive to have 4 in the top 6. That's extremely tough to do. So although it's early in the year, I still think that's something to be proud of at HMS. So yeah, everybody works really hard. You're always constantly trying to get better and evolve your race cars and evolve your team and the processes. But I think all 4 teams do have a good process, and we all work really well together. And outside of HMS too, the key partners, they're very helpful in getting to work with them and all that. But you want to be better. And although, I feel like we're for the top 6, I don't think that any of us are like the best car currently. So there's still a lot of work to do to get to where we need to be, and just trying to get better each and every week.
How you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason. Thank you.
A place to make my own, a place that I call home, this place that I call home.
Bob Francis with me at Skyview Sports. And Bob, you've been talking about models, and we're not talking supermodels, Bob. We've been talking about the models on your website. I love fantasy NASCAR. I go to NASCAR.com. There's a few different platforms that you can do this, but your website at Go Full Throttle, they do something with that. We're going to tease it this time. We'll talk about it more next time. But if you want to set a fantasy team, I thought I had the goods. I got to listen to you.
Well, we're excited, Roy. This is 3 years in development. Our models, so we built AI prediction models up in the Amazon cloud, and for fantasy players. And when we switched to the Gen 7 car, we had all this data, was super accurate. We had to start all over again with the Gen 7 car. But now that we're 3 years of data collection, our models are performing very well. We're in the top 2% of all players in terms of performance as the model. We issue on Fridays on our website, gofullthrottle.net, we issue what's called Facts and Stats Friday. That's our summary of all the data and history, and then our models make an initial prediction. Set your fantasy team. Here's how we see the top 5 and who to put in your garage. And then on Saturday night, we ingest all the data from NASCAR's platform from practice and qualifying, and then the model refreshes, and we do a final prediction to set your fantasy team based on any changes that occur or penalties that come up if people have to go to the back because of unimproved inspection improvements or whatever. And we take all that into account, and then it's been really fun developing this technology and our performance in the TMD League of NASCAR Fantasy Live in the top 2% against a robot. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't play I wouldn't have a robot play you in chess either. I think you probably got that covered. Now, one thing that we kind of talked about, the free platform goes on Friday. Have you put in the kind of like the pay window yet, or is that down the road?
That's down the road. We really want to stay focused on the NASCAR fantasy players, mainly just due to numbers. When I focus on, and have dabbled in the betting markets and stuff, there's a lot more interest at this point in folks just wanting to understand how these platforms work. How do you read odds? How do you use these prediction models to set your team? So we're having a lot of fun in the fantasy league, and that's where we're going to keep our focus for now. If something develops later, then great. Happy to participate in that. But right now, there are 5,283 players in just the TMD NASCAR League, which is one of the most popular leagues on the NASCAR fantasy platform. And if we can be in the top 2 or even the top 10%, having AI play against a lot of very knowledgeable and savvy players like you, then I think we want to continue to develop that technology, keep the models learning. Like, how do you write an algorithm that accounts for that you only get 10 starts per driver in the regular season? So you can't play Larson every week.
I didn't play him last week, and because I'm already down 7 starts.
Right. So that's what we're training the model to do, is not only the performance data, but then the fantasy rules. How do we teach AI to give us good predictions based on, well, you only get 10 starts. Well, what 10 tracks do I want to start a Larson or a Blaney or a Bell? And, from my dirt background, I call them the Dirt Brothers. Whenever we can see Bell and Larson going head to head, whether that's in sprint cars or in NASCAR, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if any fantasy players out there, anybody just want to check out an outstanding motor racing website, NASCAR and other sports as well, he's the guy. This is Bob Francis, Go Full Throttle. Give us the best contact information. We're going to lay that out there on a lower third for you, and we hope to boost your hits and get more people to check out your website and all that hard work you've done so that we can start betting some real money on this fantasy.
Well, Roy, I appreciate that. Always on the web at gofullthrottle.net. On the website, we publish the models right there on the homepage every week. And then for real-time interaction, our most active social media account is Bob Full Throttle on X, Bob Full Throttle on X. And that way, we're communicating in real time. We have hundreds of players that check in with me every Sunday morning. Hey, Bob, when are you going to post the updated prediction model? So X is where that happens. We don't want to get bogged down in technology and having to post stuff to the website. X is the quick channel to get real-time data from us.
And if you send me that info, I will go ahead and I'll definitely make a graphic for you on that. Absolutely. Bob, it's been wonderful information we have so many topics that we can talk about in NASCAR, and I think Martinsville or another race right after that would be a great time to do that. One topic I do want to talk about next time, we'll just tease it, is that Kyle Larson answered a question about his high limit racing, and I'm got approved for Texas, and so they're going to be racing there on that dirt racing there, on the complex there. And I know how much you're into it, so we know that he's going to be at the Las Vegas, Texas tracks, amongst other places throughout the country. With that, thanks again, Bob. We will talk to you next time, and for all our audience, whether you checking out Go Full Throttle or SkyviewSports.net. We'll talk to you next time.